Today we're going to discuss analysis of Sandbox submissions, living off the land, and threat hunting. Threat hunting is a process for finding malicious activities that may not normally be uncovered with out-of-the-box security tools. It requires an understanding of normal computer and network activity and uncovering abnormal events. Living off the land is a technique by which attackers utilize files and processes that already exist natively in an environment for malicious intent. A sandbox is a protected, isolated computer for the purpose of running malware or potential malware and providing the details of how that malware operates in a safe environment. We'll be using App.any.run, which is a popular freeware sandbox application. People provide URLs and files, such as executable files, PDF or Word documents, to be run through the App.any.run sandbox and glean a report containing static and dynamic properties of the submission. Static properties include the file type and hash value of the file or digital fingerprint. Every computer file has a unique identifier known as a hash value. Dynamic properties of a file are behaviors of the file when it's opened or executed. Today we're going to look at threat intelligence. When clicking on the Intelligence button in App.any.run, we are presented with the MITRE ATT&CK framework, or a framework or path that attackers take to obtain access and perform malicious activities on computers, companies, or environments. Attacks, while not shown here, begin with reconnaissance or recon, meaning the first step an attacker takes is to gather information about the target or potential victim. This could include domain names, servers or server versions, or employees. The first step to exploiting a computer environment is to gain initial access to a computer in that environment. This is commonly performed by way of phishing emails sent to employees or users who click on a link or open a malicious attachment believed to be legitimate. When the employee or user clicks on the link or opens the attachment, this is the next step in the attack framework, or execution. Once the attacker obtains initial access, they would want to ensure their effort does not go to waste, and they can instill persistence on the newly obtained computer. This is called persistence. Having persistence means if the user closes the web browser or reboots the computer, the attacker has a way to ensure their initial access is solidified and can call back to them after a reboot or action that would normally sever their connection. The attacker, now having access to the computer, will be running with the same privileges as the user who opened the attachment or link. Most likely, this is a normal user account. Therefore, the attacker will need to elevate their privileges to that of an administrator or system on a Windows computer or root on a Linux computer. While an attacker may not necessarily perform all avenues in the MITRE framework, these steps outline a typical path. Moving their attack forward, adversaries would avoid detection with defense evasion, obtain passwords with credential access, understand the environment better with discovery, and would probably move to other computers, including critical servers, with lateral movement. Once attackers have discovered confidential information, they may exfiltrate the information, then encrypt all the computers with ransomware. In this video, we'll explore Execution Viewing Windows Management Instrumentation, or WMIC.X. In this scenario, an employee may have received a GitHub URL from a phishing email or a trusted third party that was compromised, and by clicking on the link, spawns Firefox, a popular browser. The process tree on the right shows the user then clicks on the GitHub link and downloads a zip file, then unpacks the zip file using WinRAR, a popular unzipping program. The process tree on the right shows that WinRAR drops a xmodo.exe file, which is then executed, creating a child process of cmd.x, a native Windows process or living off the land file. cmd.x then spawns another native Windows process called WMIC. App.any.run does a great job of showing the file type, which many times the attacker modifies the extension of the file, indicating it's a file type it isn't. For example, they might name the file with a .doc extension, when in fact the file is an executable or .exe. App.any.run shows the file as a true file type as PE or portable executable. The left upper window in App.any.run is a play-by-play video of how the attack played out. The lower left-hand pane shows the network connections, web connections, including methods such as GET and POST. The Connections tab shows the connection type such as TCP or UDP, the URL, and the process ID or PID. This information is all great information for a security analyst to understand, including the OSI model, ports, processes, and protocols. We then move on to echotrail.io, which is a freeware website that outlines normal file static information and behaviors, including the file hashes of normal files, the paths or directories where normal files are spawned from, the parent and child processes or process trees. EchoTrail outlines process hashes because when files are updated, the hash reflects the newly revised file. Or in other words, every time a file is changed, so is the digital fingerprint or hash. If we see a file such as WMIC being run from a different directory or spawning different child processes, these behaviors could be IOCs or indicators of compromise. If WMIC is being run from a different directory, maybe it's not the original and legitimate file, or maybe it's being run with different permissions, or if it has a different hash value, it could be malicious. The LOLBAS website is another great tool for understanding legitimate Windows tools that can and many times are used for malicious purposes. LOLBAS not only shows you the native living off the land files, but also how they're used for malicious purposes. If you found today's video informative, please like and subscribe to the InfoSec I 5150 channel.